Welcome to Habeas Treasures, where I try to decipher this book, There's Treasure Inside by Jon Collins-Black, in order to find one of the 5 hidden treasures. On today's episode, I'll continue my breakdown of the Pokemon Box chapter and discuss why I think alternate reality games might unlock some clues that could lead us to the treasure. Let's begin! In my earlier videos, I explained why I think the author might be using previous treasure hunts and their puzzles to help assist him in creating the Pokemon Box story. Well, I think I may have found another connection to a previous hunt, an alternate reality game from 2012 called Cicada 3301. Cicada 3301 is a bit of a mystery, but I'll do my best to give a brief explanation of what it was and how it worked. In 2012, on the 4chan message boards, this cryptic message appeared. It read, "Hello. We are looking for highly intelligent individuals. To find them, we have devised a test. There is a message hidden in this image. Find it and it will lead you on the road to finding us. We look forward to meeting the few that will make it all the way through. Good luck." And the message was signed 3301. Opening the image with a text editor revealed a string of text that, when deciphered, led to another image of a duck. By using a steganography application called Outguess, you were led to more clues, like a book cipher, a hidden telephone number, various websites, and finally, this image of a cicada with the word "everywhere" written above it. This is where I think there could be a connection to the Pokemon Box story. Remember the part of the story after the Froakie abandons the author and JCB starts seeing all the Pokemon bugs? He writes, "As I walked, the path became increasingly shaded. This helped with the heat. The landscape in front of me was now mysterious and hauntingly gorgeous. I spotted some Kricketune, several Yanma, and 2 Ladybug, or were they Heracross? It's hard to remember, though I will never forget that the Ninjask were everywhere. And in the midst of them all, I spotted a Pheromosa. What a strange and beautiful creature it was." Now, after learning about Cicada 3301, the line that really stood out to me is, "Though I will never forget the Ninjask were everywhere." After all, a Ninjask Pokemon is modeled off of a cicada, and I find it hard to believe it's just a coincidence that the author chose the same word, everywhere, that appears in the famous Cicada 3301 image. It seems like JCB is pointing us towards the Cicada 3301 hunt as a clue. It also is interesting to me that JCB starts off this passage in the story with the line, "As I walked, the path became increasingly shaded." In Cicada 3301, the few people who successfully made it to the end of the challenge were invited to a site on the dark web, where they were presumably asked to join Cicada 3301. So maybe the line, "the path became increasingly shaded," is a reference to the destination of Cicada 3301 being the dark web. Now, nobody really knows what the purpose of Cicada 3301 was. Some people think it was a government, NSA, or hacker group recruitment program. Other people think it was just the latest example of a growing phenomenon called alternate reality games. These are games that people create that blend the real world with the virtual world. They often involve puzzles that individuals, or in many cases large groups of people, solve together. As in Cicada 3301, the players often have to find hidden information in images or on websites or on sound files that, when decrypted, lead them to phone numbers or book ciphers or more websites with clues. These alternate reality games can last months and contain hundreds of clues. Often, these games will have thousands of players in the community all sharing their ideas to help uncover the larger story. The original alternate reality games were viral marketing experiments that helped create interest for movies, video games, and music albums in the early 2000s. For instance, the ARG game that is credited with being the first mainstream success was called The Beast, and it was used to promote the Steven Spielberg movie AI in 2001. The trailer for the movie kicked off the game by highlighting different letters, as shown here, that ended up spelling out the cryptic phrase, "Warn her, Janine Sala," and "Evan died sinning." These clues led to many more clues found on movie posters, websites, and phone numbers that eventually revealed a complex story about AI robots in the future that needed the community's help to secure their rights as citizens. Pretty heady stuff, but I know what you're probably thinking. Yo, HT, what do futuristic robot movie games have to do with the treasure? Great question. I think it's possible that JCB is referencing this first successful ARG called The Beast with the Pheromosa line in the story. After all, the Pheromosa is classified in Pokemon as an Ultra Beast, and it would make sense that the granddaddy of all ARG games is, quote, "in the midst of it all." Okay, but seriously, how does this apply to the Pokemon box? Well, we know that JCB wrote this chapter as sort of a blend between fantasy and reality, just like an ARG game. Maybe he's using some classic ARG techniques to hide the clues. Here's a list of those techniques: hidden images, websites, phone numbers, book ciphers, audio files, movie posters, and trailers. Let's listen to what JCB said about this at Seeking Treasure Con in Vegas.
Are there any clues in your other social media platforms, such as YouTube videos, etc.?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, nothing personal. I mean, obviously, like, I'm sure people watch other videos I've done, and you get to know how I think, and you can probably, like, extrapolate from there, but no purposeful clues have been put anywhere by me.
Okay, so that sounds like a definite no for social media and YouTube. What about the rest? Let's listen again.
Next question is, other than your book and the one clue in Unbreakable Thread, which is also your book,
All right.
is there any other place we should be looking for clues?
Is that what it says? Any other place?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, not really. I think that's all you need.
Okay.
I know that disappoints people, right? You want there to be more. Yeah.
But it narrows it down.
It narrows it down.
That was a super long pause he gave before answering the question. And it also seems strange that he questioned the question. I mean, he knew all these questions ahead of time, so why was he surprised that it was phrased this way? Anyway, I generally have no idea what to make of this other than to take him at his word that he isn't directing us to other websites or places to find additional clues. However, I do think it would have been really cool for him to use some of the bug Pokemon Pokedex numbers to direct us to a phone number like in Cicada 3301. For instance, here's the phone number that revealed a clue in that hunt.
Very good. You have done well. There are 3 prime numbers associated with the original final .jpg image. 3301 is one of them. You will have to find the other 2. Multiply all 3 of these numbers together and add a .com on the end to find the next step. Good luck. Goodbye.
I got really excited when I realized that the Pokedex number for Heracross is 214, just like the area code of the Cicada 3301 phone number. But it looks like this is just another coincidence. So this begs the question, are alternate reality games part of the solve? And if so, how do we use them? Well, one more idea that I've been playing around with is maybe there's a different ARG game that we were supposed to find that ties into the broader themes of the story. Let me introduce you to the game Frog Fractions from 2012. This game starts out with your character, the frog, sitting on a lily pad catching bugs with its tongue. Every bug you catch turns into a fraction. Now, most people who started playing this game thought it was a math game where you would learn something about fractions. It turned out that was the joke. The fractions were meaningless. As the game continued, the gameplay style kept changing and it got more and more absurd. At one point, your frog is flying around on a magical dragon, you get arrested on the planet Bug Mars, and you even get elected president by winning a game of Dance Dance Revolution. This game went viral, and it was so popular that the game designer launched a Kickstarter campaign to fund a sequel. The interesting part was he wouldn't tell anyone what it was called or where to find it. Instead, he created an ARG game that had to be solved for the game to be released.
I'm not going to call the game Frog Fractions. I'm not going to tell you when it's out. You're just going to have to find it. Please give me money, and maybe one day you'll play a cool video game.
Anyway, the reason I bring this up is it's possible that Frog Fractions is an ARG that ties into the Pokemon box. After all, the Froakie is based on a frog, and JCB starts off the story by telling us he was 5.5, and the half is kind of a pointless detail, just like the pointless fractions at the start of the original Frog Fractions game. Oh, and did I mention that in the game, your companion is a flying dragon? Sort of like the Charizard that appears in the Pokemon cards in the treasure. I don't know. This all might be a stretch, but there are a few other fraction references at the beginning of the story, like halfway to the stars and French quarter, that mimic the fractions found at the beginning of the Frog Fractions game too. Again, I may be making way too much out of this. It just seems odd that JCB writes a story about an alternate reality where he interacts with Pokemon and then uses the line, "The Ninjask were everywhere," which appears to directly connect with an image from a famous alternate reality game. if JCB is really borrowing puzzles from previous games and hunts, then my bet is one or more of these popular ARGs is probably a clue. Anyway, that's all I've got for today's video. I hope you found it informative, or at least interesting, and that it helps you with your hunt. Stay safe out there.